Marx at that time was mainly going to say that the finance capitalists and the merchant capitalists are subservient to India's industrial capital, and they are the servants of industrial capitalism. But what this statement suggests is that since 1980, one of the things that's happened is that relationship has been inverted. That, in fact, what we've seen since the 1980s is that because of the neoliberal way in which the neoliberal door was opened to all kinds of financial operations and so on, is that we find a situation in which, more often than not, finance capital becomes the master, not the servant. And it is even the case that in certain situations, merchant capital becomes the master. Consider, for example, the big merchant capitalist firms which have grown up very, very strongly since 1980. Walmart, IKEA, and the like. They all are actually selling things, and they're merchant capitalist firms, and they actually can put pressure on industrial capital. In other words, it's no longer a situation where the industrial capitalists are kind of telling the merchant capitalists, telling the conditions of sale to the merchant capitalists. The merchant capitalists are actually ordering things from the industrial capitalists and are paying the industrial capitalists as little as they need to in order to maximize their own profits and the same. So what you find is something which is called monopsony. Monopsony is a situation where you have one consumer, and the one consumer can dictate conditions to multiple producers. Now, in a way, it's not the case with Walmart that there's only one consumer. But Walmart is one very, very large consumer, and it certainly dictates prices and dictates qualities and dictates quantities and all the rest of it to its suppliers. And its suppliers are essentially doing the behest of Walmart. And the same would be true of IKEA, and the same is true even in many of the textile companies. And if you go to the sort of organizations like the big merchant capitalists in the textile industry, the Gap and Banana Republic and all the rest of it, you'll find that they're the ones who are dictating terms to the industrialists. So there's been a switch. And Marx did not anticipate that. And as there is a switch, this means that the power center of capital shifts from industrial capitalism to merchant capitalism in many instances, and depending upon the sector, or to finance capitalism. So these forms of capital become much stronger and much more dominant. And because they become much more dominant, they are not necessarily concerned so much with the production of surplus value. The production of surplus value is sort of a collateral thing as far as they're concerned. If, for example, financiers can earn more money by speculating in art or speculating in property rights in oil wells or property rights in land, if you can get a higher rate of return from doing that than you can from investing in steel production, then you don't bother to invest in steel production, and you don't bother to invest in production in the ordinary sense of the term at all. You start to invest in weird forms of production, particularly the production of spectacle and so on. So the financiers right now are heavily into sponsoring soccer leagues and soccer clubs and all the rest of it, who are paying multi-million-pound salaries to their players, having fantastic kind of television contracts and so on. So that this is the sort of thing that has been going on since the 1980s. So there's been, if you like, a switch.